I hit a major wall during my first few hours, wasting essence in the wrong place, ignoring altars that seemed useless, repeating runs without getting anywhere. SpiritVale doesn't explain itself, but it has a logic. Those who understand the cycles and the right synergies skip all the grind. I've put together 10 tips that I learned the hard way. If you're just starting out or feel like your progression is stuck, let's get straight to what works. I'm Mary, and the video is about to start.
If there's one thing I've noticed playing SpiritVale, it's that a lot of people try to advance way too fast without understanding how progression actually works. The game completely separates the base level and the job level, and ignoring this is basically stalling your own evolution. The base level will unlock stats and access to new maps, but it's the job level that truly defines what your character can do, because that's where skills and specialization come from. And this is where the game-changing tip comes in. You need to focus on the synergy between these two levels. There's no point in rushing your base level, unlocking a new map, and getting there weak without any relevant skills. I've seen this happen multiple times, and the result is always the same. The player struggles to farm, takes longer to kill enemies, and ends up lagging behind those who leveled up calmly. Another mistake many people make is switching maps or objectives before unlocking the essential skills from the class tree. In SpiritVale, these skills are not optional. They are what makes your build actually start working. If you skip this step, your character remains incomplete, and this directly impacts your efficiency, especially in the early and mid-game. And perhaps most importantly, keep your stats aligned with your class's purpose from the very beginning. Don't try to invent a hybrid build too early. If your class scales with strength, go all in on that. If it's intelligence, focus on that without deviating. When you combine well-distributed stats with a well-developed job level, the game simply flows much better, and progression accelerates in an absurd way.
Experience gain in this game is shared through physical proximity among party members, and this completely changes the pace of progression. When you are close to other players in the same party, each kill yields much more, and the dense monster map stops being an individual fight and turns into an XP machine. What surprised me the most was discovering the party search right in the interface. Many people don't even notice it exists and wander around the map hoping someone will show up. I open Party Search, join an active group in that area, and boom, the farm accelerates absurdly. In maps packed with monsters, the difference between solo and party is not small. It's staggering in terms of progress per hour. And it's not just XP. Parties also improve drops, which means more loot, more resources, and less time wasted hunting items one by one. When the group is positioned correctly and everyone gets credit for the kill by being close enough, the bonus really kicks in. I've tried forcing solo grind in a dense map thinking I would focus better, and ended up finishing the session with a much lower level than those who were in a party the whole time. My recommendation is simple. As soon as you reach a good farming map, stop insisting on solo play and join a group. Use Party Search, stay close to the team, and let the system work in your favor. SpiritVale rewards those who play together, and if your goal is to truly level up fast, ignoring parties is basically choosing the slowest path on purpose. I noticed that many people waste too much time thinking the game will evolve on its own over time. I thought the exact same way at first. But the first major real power spike happens when you reach level 50. This is the moment you unlock your class's advanced specialization, and this is where the character truly starts working the way they should. What impressed me the most is that this advancement is completely straightforward. There are no hidden quests, rare materials, or confusing requirement sequences. When you hit level 50, you just go straight to your class master NPC, the class master, and talk to them. In seconds, you change classes and unlock a brand new tier of skills and performance. I've seen players farm for hours with their starting class, even though they already had the level needed to evolve. This delays progress way too much. Advanced specialization increases your damage potential, survivability, and even your group efficiency. In other words, continuing to delay the switch is basically choosing to level up slower on purpose. Treat level 50 as your main goal in the beginning. As soon as you reach it, go straight to the class master without fuss. This first power spike sets the pace for the rest of your journey in SpiritVale, and the sooner you unlock specialization, the faster the rest of your progression starts to flow. Many people swap weapons, hats, and armor looking only at the defense or attack number, but leave several slots empty and lose a massive amount of power because of it. I see the card system as that detail that seems secondary at first, but completely changes the feeling of progression after a few hours. If you're dying frequently or being forced to stop to recover health all the time, I would prioritize HP and evasion cards. More health offers a much larger safety margin against groups of enemies and unexpected hits, while evasion can greatly reduce incoming damage when you're farming fast monsters or in crowded areas. It's not just a matter of surviving. The less you have to stop, the more experience you get per hour. Now, if the goal is to speed up the farm, elemental damage cards are absurdly important. Before spending too much time eliminating a type of monster, it's worth figuring out what element it uses or what element it is vulnerable to. Putting the right card in your weapon turns fights that seemed tedious into quick eliminations, and this reduction in time to defeat each creature makes a difference throughout an entire session. The coolest part is that this system brings a classic MMORPG feel right in the style of Ragnarok Online. You don't get strong just by leveling up, but by putting together a smart combination for the region you're playing in. I would treat cards as an essential part of your build, not an optional bonus. Adjust your weapon and hat slots for the current map, prioritize HP, evasion, or the proper elemental damage, and you'll notice that progressing in SpiritVale becomes much faster and more consistent. This game rewards those who think strategically much more than those who just equip whatever piece happens to drop. And today's tip is exactly about that. Set stat combos, the famous tiers. When I started playing, I made the classic beginner's mistake. I picked up the item with the highest defense or attack number and equipped it without thinking twice. The result? My character evolved at a slow pace, and I didn't understand why. The turning point happened when I discovered that higher tier equipment grants hidden stat bonuses when you equip them together. That's right, the game doesn't yell this in your face, but completing a full set makes an absurd difference. Instead of mixing random pieces just for the basic stats, the secret is to chase set bonuses, which can give you expressive gains in intelligence, strength, or speed, depending on the build you're putting together. In practice, a full mid-tier set can be much stronger than several individual high-tier pieces. And it doesn't stop there. One thing many people neglect at the beginning, and I did this myself, are trinkets, the game's accessories. Save or buy as many as you can, because they give stat multipliers that are crucial for your character scaling in the medium and long term. While everyone else is just looking at armor and weapons, you'll be stacking multipliers that will make your character skyrocket when you reach harder content. Artifact sets also deserve special attention, as some of the strongest set bonuses in the game are found in them. So the mindset I want you to take away from this is simple. Raw stats aren't everything. Before equipping anything, ask yourself if that piece contributes to a set or if it's just an isolated pretty stat. Prioritize completing sets, invest in your trinkets, and plan your inventory thinking about the full set, not individual pieces. By doing this, you'll notice your evolution accelerating in a way that almost feels unfair compared to those who play on autopilot.
If there's one thing I've noticed playing SpiritVale, it's that a lot of people try to advance way too fast without understanding how progression actually works. The game completely separates the base level and the job level, and ignoring this is basically stalling your own evolution. The base level will unlock stats and access to new maps, but it's the job level that truly defines what your character can do, because that's where skills and specialization come from. And this is where the game-changing tip comes in. You need to focus on the synergy between these two levels. There's no point in rushing your base level, unlocking a new map, and getting there weak without any relevant skills. I've seen this happen multiple times, and the result is always the same. The player struggles to farm, takes longer to kill enemies, and ends up lagging behind those who leveled up calmly. Another mistake many people make is switching maps or objectives before unlocking the essential skills from the class tree. In SpiritVale, these skills are not optional. They are what makes your build actually start working. If you skip this step, your character remains incomplete, and this directly impacts your efficiency, especially in the early and mid-game. And perhaps most importantly, keep your stats aligned with your class's purpose from the very beginning. Don't try to invent a hybrid build too early. If your class scales with strength, go all in on that. If it's intelligence, focus on that without deviating. When you combine well-distributed stats with a well-developed job level, the game simply flows much better, and progression accelerates in an absurd way.
I know you get that urge to do everything at your own pace, but the reality is that joining a party ASAP is probably the biggest EXP multiplier in the game. It's not a small bonus. Each extra member adds about 20% experience, and this stacks in a way that completely changes your progress speed. In practice, the sweet spot I felt while playing is between 2 to 3 people. More than that can work, but it starts getting messy depending on the map and monster density. With this group size, you maintain a steady farming rhythm, kill quickly, and still enjoy the EXP and drop bonus without losing efficiency. And better drops mean more cards, more resources, and more overall upgrades. Now, there is a detail that many people ignore and end up hurting their own evolution: the level difference. If there is a gap of over 30 levels between members, you already start suffering an EXP penalty, and at 50, it basically zeroes out your gain. In other words, there's no point in joining a party with someone much stronger thinking you'll get carried. In the end, you'll just waste time. If you don't have friends playing, don't complicate it. Use Party Search or simply walk up on the map and ask to join someone using the F key. The community tends to be very open to that. At the end of the day, playing in a group isn't just faster, it's the way the game was clearly meant to be played. If you stay solo, you'll still progress, but it will always feel like you're falling behind. I know staying in the same place, killing the exact same monsters doesn't sound as exciting as exploring the map, but after the early game passes, this is by far the most efficient way to farm experience. And when I say for real, it's because there's a right way to do it, and most players do it wrong. The logic is simple. You need to find the center of a dense spawn with fast respawn, somewhere between 8 and 15 seconds, and stay positioned there, clearing the entire pack with your AoE skills as soon as the monsters respawn. The big mistake I used to make was hunting stronger monsters scattered across the map, thinking that more experience per kill meant faster evolution. False. Density combined with fast respawn is worth way more than a slightly stronger monster, because at the end of the day, what matters is how much experience comes in per minute, not per kill. As for where to apply this, I'll give you the spots that worked for me in each level range. Between levels 20 and 30, forest edges and meadow fields are great starting points. From 40 to 60, desert outskirts and the cave entrances yield very well. And from levels 60 to 75 and beyond, the deep caves are simply excellent. That's where my character took the biggest evolutionary leap. These are approximate values, of course, but they follow the game's natural progression curve closely. There's only one rule you need to respect for this to work. Keep the monsters within a margin of 5 to 10 levels above or below yours. If you farm mobs that are too weak, the experience plummets, and if you go after mobs that are too strong, you'll die or spend way too much time on each kill, destroying the method's efficiency. Find your spot, lock down your position, cycle your AoEs to the rhythm of the respawn, and watch your experience bar fly. Once you catch the rhythm, it becomes almost meditative, and progression comes much faster than wandering around aimlessly.
If there's one thing that truly changes the SpiritVale early game, it's refining your weapon early. I treat this as maximum priority. Go to the Navarus blacksmith and upgrade your weapon to +6 as soon as possible. In this range, it's cheap, it's safe, and the ATK or MATK gain is absurd for the investment. Every refine weighs directly on your farm speed, and you instantly feel that monsters go down much faster. Many people waste materials on armor or clutter their inventory with useless items, and I've made that mistake too. The weapon comes first. With it at +6, your clear is clean, quests go faster, and the grind stops feeling sluggish. Only after that do I look at the rest of the setup. Without this upgrade, you'll hit like a wet noodle, even with a decent build. Next, the order that works for me is clear. Artifacts and armor come after the weapon. You don't need to go crazy with everything at once. Upgrade what increases damage first, stabilize your farm, and then reinforce defense and passives. SpiritVale rewards those who prioritize what accelerates progress, not those who try to make their character look pretty across the board from a low level. To avoid getting lost in materials, save the essentials: Vulcanite for weapons, Gravion for armor, and Lunaris for artifacts. With this in mind, you won't waste resources needlessly and will reach +6 without drama. Do this early refine and the whole game gets faster. It's the kind of small detail that separates those who climb smoothly from those who stay stuck hitting weakly for hours.
One thing that greatly accelerates your evolution in SpiritVale that few people take seriously at first is assembling the right starter setup. It's not just picking up any dropped item and moving on. If you start with the Novice Armor set, for example, you already get a very solid foundation with health, mana, speed, and even basic sustain. This allows you to farm longer without having to stop, and that consistency makes all the difference in the first few hours. Accessories also come in strong here. Using 2x Golden Hoop right at the start gives a boost that seems small, but together with your build, it helps a lot with overall performance. And combining this with the Pioneer Artifact set early on puts you a level above what most players are using at this stage. It's that kind of silent advantage that makes you clear mobs faster without even quite realizing why. Another thing you can't ignore: always walk around with well-stocked health and mana potions. It sounds basic, but many people try to save on this and end up wasting time, dying, or having to retreat. In SpiritVale, time is progress, so the less you interrupt your farm, the faster you evolve. And of course, using the right weapon for your class, like Skullhawker for Warrior or Relic Trident for Knight, ensures you're extracting maximum damage from the very beginning. Once you're more advanced, the ideal move is to transition to artifact sets focused on your specialization. Steelheart if you're melee, Arcanum if you're playing a caster, or Stormquiver if you're ranged. This switch marks a real power leap, so don't treat it as a minor detail. If you start out well-equipped from the beginning and evolve with intention, the game flows much faster and without those typical roadblocks faced by people who slap builds together on the fly.